In this ChatGPT video, I'm going to be creating an advanced GPT workflow that utilizes the GPT mentions feature in 4 different GPTs all at one time. Now, this is going to completely revolutionize the way that you are currently looking at GPTs and using them. I'm going to create a training set of GPTs so that whenever new editors come to AI Foundations, that I can give them the GPTs and they can ask them any questions they need, get useful links, resources, and tutorials on how to edit in my specific style. Now, when you're watching this video, please don't be focused on what I'm doing for my company or my personal life, but rather what you can do for yours and the workflows that you can implement and how you can have these GPTs communicate with each other and complete different tasks or give different tutorials on different items in your life. You don't have to just do this for business, but you can do this for personal life, whether you're dieting, working out, planning events, responding to emails, building websites, doing advertising, SEO, blogs. It really doesn't matter. All walks of life can use this style of workflow and implement it into your own ways. Now, before we get into this advanced GPT workflow, I wanted to show you something. This is my ChatGPT Mastery course and community. If you want to join, you can find a link in the description or the top pinned comment. We have over 440 members. People are loving this course, learning ChatGPT, and more things about AI than ever before. We can start these long chat threads, you can upload videos, you can comment with each other, you can ask questions, and you have a classroom with 50 plus modules on how to learn ChatGPT. As you can see, the content in here is endless, and we go into everything from prompting to every feature on ChatGPT. And with that knowledge, you can really start to engineer your life with artificial intelligence. I just wanted to quickly share that because I genuinely, with all my heart, believe that that's the best way that people have been learning ChatGPT through me, rather than watching the free content on YouTube. So if that interests you, there's a link in the description or the top pinned comment where you can join. But now let's get back into this video, and I am so excited to show you this advanced GPT workflow. Now, before we get into building this thing, we need to actually understand, what am I doing, right? What is the workflow and why does it matter? How is this going to be helpful? Well, this is my GPT agent flow that I've designed, and I believe it's going to lead to a new era of training, especially within ChatGPT. And not only that, but also the structure and the understanding of the way that I'm doing things in order to do them once. That way your training is completely taken care of. Anytime anybody has a question, they can go to your GPTs, or anytime you have a question about something, you can go to your GPTs. So what we have here is we start off with a main GPT. And this is going to be the overarching GPT that gives the commands, that gives the helpful callouts. And this is basically going to give you all of the settings on how to run these other GPT agents. Now, these GPT agents down here are going to have specific training sets for specialized questions or help. Now, this may seem a little bit confusing right now, but I promise if you continue watching till the end, this will all come together and it will all make sense and blow your mind. So in order to understand this a little better, what I actually did is I labeled some of the GPTs that I'm going to be creating for today's video. So we have the YouTube Production AI Foundations GPT. This is the overarching GPT where you can ask general questions and it will give advice on agent navigation. So how to talk to these 3 agents that I will also be creating. Right now, these are the 3 agents I've come up with for YouTube video editing. So if I ever hire a new video editor, what I can do is I can give them access to these 4 GPTs. So whenever they have a question, they can head to these GPTs and it will answer them directly, give them useful links to videos that I've created or other people have created, and so on. So we have this YouTube Production GPT where all of the conversations are going to start. Then, utilizing the GPT mentions feature, you can access these 3 GPTs while in this same chat thread. We have Retention Rick, and Retention Rick is going to be specific training for retention-styled video editing at AI Foundations. So I'm going to get very custom with this. What do I do in my YouTube videos in order to increase video retention? And then we have Thumbnail Tom, and this is going to be a GPT for thumbnail building at AI Foundations. It's going to give links to asset folders. It's going to give example photos on what's worked in the past for thumbnails and how to really increase that click-through rate and split test different thumbnails. Next, we have Posting Pearl, and this is going to be a GPT specifically about posting, SEO, and uploading content to YouTube at AI Foundations. So as you can see, I have a team of trainers that I can train once. That way, any editor that wants to come and edit, all I have to do is give them access to these GPTs, and they will be able to ask any questions they need, get any folders they need, and get any SOP that they need as well. Now that we have that boring stuff out of the way, going over the flow, let's actually build the flow and get into building our first GPT. And the first GPT we need to build is the Navigation GPT, which explains how to navigate the GPTs and gives general help questions. And anytime a question about one of those categories comes up in this main GPT, what we want to do is tell them to at or mention that other GPT and ask the question, right? So that's what we're going to do right now. Let's get into building the first Navigation GPT. Now I'm in ChatGPT, so I'm going to head down to the bottom left-hand corner with my name and then select My GPTs. Next, I'm going to select Create a GPT. Here, I'm going to skip the Create section and just go to the Configure section since I know exactly what I want and I know how to craft good instructions. And if you want to learn how to craft amazing instructions, again, I have in-depth modules in my ChatGPT Mastery course going over that if that's something that interests you. So first I'm going to upload a profile picture and I'm just going to upload my AIF logo. Now that I've got my logo uploaded, what I want to do is give it a name. I'm just going to name it YT Production AIF so that I know it's YouTube production at AI Foundations. I can give it a quick description. For the description, I just said navigation for video editors at AI Foundations because this is going to be the GPT that explains how to use the other 3 GPTs in this single chat thread. And I want to make this easy for people, so what I'm automatically going to do is head down to the conversation starters. And then I'm going to type in a few conversation starters so people don't have to type in a prompt, but they can just click in order to get any question they have answered. So what I've done is I've created 4 conversation starters. I need help with video editing, I need help with thumbnails, I need help with SEO/posting content, and to view all commands. This is going to be a GPT that gives a list of commands and navigation tips and techniques in order to get help with the question that you're about to ask. Now that I have the conversation starters, what I'm going to do is create the instructions for this GPT. So after about 6 or 7 hours of prompting, I finally wrapped up these instructions. Just kidding. It only took me about 20 minutes. But this may look like a lot, but I promise when you really dive into it, all I'm doing is typing out natural language and giving the chatbot in the back end what I want it to do. That way it can help people on the front end. So I'm going to quickly go over some of the things that I wanted in this GPT. Remember, we are doing the YouTube production AIF GPT. So this is just for general questions and gives tips on how to navigate between these agents. And it gives the goals of the YouTube channel and some other cool things as well that we're going to get into. So I say, I'm creating a suite of GPTs that are going to help new video editors and publishers at my company. This is going to consist of 4 separate GPTs. I let it know what I'm doing, and then I list out the GPTs. And then here below that, I list out the responsibilities of each GPT. The YouTube production GPT, which is the one that we are currently editing, provides general navigation tips to move the user to the correct GPT in order to solve the problem. So this is just a general help guide that will help the user move in the right direction and go into more customized GPTs. And the reason I'm doing this, you might be like, why don't you just put it all in one? Well, I want to keep things clean, and I found that GPTs work better with a smaller set of instructions. So if I have all of my video editing tips, thumbnail tips, and posting tips in one GPT, I don't want it to be clouded and I don't want it to be confusing. So this way I'll be able to upload separate files to the knowledge database and be able to do much more with each GPT rather than trying to cram in as much information as possible. I think this will be a better way of going about it. So that's what I did. I provided each GPT and what they were going to do, and then I gave the job of this GPT. I said, your job is to be the YouTube production GPT, provide instructions, navigation tips, etc. And then I give it tips on how to redirect users to the correct GPT. I say, users can access these GPTs by using the @ symbol, and then typing in the name of the GPTs, which are Retention Rick, Thumbnail Tom, and Posting Pearl. I made sure to make those names exactly how I'm going to create the other GPTs, that way there's no confusion. And then I give some examples here on what to say to certain questions and how to respond. I want it to be a friendly, fun, warm, and welcoming GPT. You can pause the screen and read the rest. I basically have a new conversation starter that has current YouTube goals that I can go in here and update. That way I can boost team morale. You see I have develop a 20% ad revenue sharing plan amongst editors and publishers. That way it can kind of get them an incentive to want to work harder and to get more views and to get more valuable content out to users like yourself. Like I said, you can pause this and read this if you really want to understand what's going on here, but this is basically just a navigation GPT in order to organize everything, and it's a central hub, so I can say, go over there if you have that question, go over there if you have that question, right? We're using a team of GPTs in order to accomplish this one task, which is training video editors and publishers. And these GPTs and instructions are subject to change after I test them and edit them, but so far we're looking good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit update, and then anyone at AI Foundations can use this. So I will just invite them to my AI Foundations team on ChatGPT. I can pay for their account. And now anyone who's on my AI Foundations team can utilize this GPT. So I don't have to share the link or do anything like that. Now I can hit View GPT, and let's give it a quick test just so we can see if it's working. I need help with video editing. And as you can see, it's very friendly and fun. You need help with video editing? No problem. Retention Rick has all the operating procedures that you need. Use @RetentionRick in your prompt bar to ask him a specific video editing question. person. He's great at guiding through smooth cuts, transitions, and ensuring your videos keep viewers engaged. Don't hesitate, he's here to help. I can hit new chat, and maybe I want to do it with, I need help with SEO and posting content. And then it says use @posting Pearl in order to get help with questions about SEO. So then users will go in here and they'll type in @ and when I have it, they will type in posting Pearl, and then posting Pearl will be there to help with posting. So now you kind of get how the navigation is working. Now I want you to understand before we get into the next part of the video that I'm not just doing this to get a YouTube video out, but I'm actually doing it so I can have video editors that I hire come on and train in the proper way. I want to actually utilize this. I'm not just doing this to get a quick video out. So it's going to take me some time. It's going to take a lot of testing and editing, but now we're going to get into developing these training GPTs, and I'm going to upload SOPs that I've created myself to each of these GPTs and custom links. That way that anytime somebody has a question, a video of me comes up in ChatGPT, they can click on the link and then get help with their specific problem. Now, this is insanity when it comes to training employees at companies or training anybody, or if you have a specific set of procedures that somebody needs to follow in your organization, or that you just want to follow yourself. This is a great way of going about it, creating GPTs in ChatGPT. We're creating an agent workforce that can help us train. So the YT Production AIF GPT is amazing. Now let's create the 3 training GPTs beneath it. So we've just created this GPT. It's going good so far. There's a few more things I want to add in there, but let's get into developing Retention Rick, Thumbnail Tom, and Posting Pearl. First, I'm going to start with Retention Rick. So I need to focus on my style of video editing. If you've noticed in this video, my style of video editing is very simple. I zoom in so you ladies and gentlemen can see what's actually happening on my screen without having to squint at the screen, right? And I also just add some sound effects and music in the beginning of the video, maybe with some B-roll that's very light. So this isn't going to be that hard to create. And I can give example videos in here. I can give my SOPs that I've created on how to do all my effects that I do in my videos. And I can make Retention Rick just mold to my video editing style. That way it can help anybody who has a question about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head back over to my GPTs in the bottom left-hand corner, and I'm going to create a GPT for anyone at AI Foundations in this group. I'm going to name it, and I'm going to make sure that I name it the exact name that I've been referencing in my Navigation GPT. And then I'm going to upload a photo of it. I'm going to head over to my Midjourney account, and I'm going to head over to my archive, and I already have these 3 people here that I'll probably use. I want this guy to be Retention Rick. He looks very cool, and just seems like he could be a good video editor. Then I'm going to head back over to ChatGPT and upload that photo. Just like that, we've got Retention Rick in here. Looks more like Detective Rick, but we're going to go with it. Maybe he's a video editor. Description: provides any video editing tutorial or knowledge you need for editing at AI Foundations. Want to specify that this is editing for AI Foundations. My unique style. That's what I'm crafting this GPT into. It's a beautiful thing. Now I'm going to go in and craft the instructions for Retention Rick, and I'm going to show you some of the unique elements that I put into these instructions. The goal of Retention Rick, remember, is that when people are editing at AI Foundations, I want them to have access to any SOP, any knowledge about my editing style, or anything that comes along with editing my videos. So that's what I'm going to mold Retention Rick to answer those questions about. Since I know what I want, I can let Retention Rick tell the users what we need at the company. So again, I've taken about another 20 minutes and I've created these instructions. Now remember, this may seem like I'm taking a lot of time, but this is going to take me out of the equation when it comes to hiring new video editors, because I'll have this suite of GPTs that I created that just does all the work for me. And anytime there's a question that gets through the GPTs, then I'll have a lot less to answer and a lot less people that I have to manage and help if I create SOPs and I do everything once. This is going to make training people so much easier. So we can open this up and we can kind of see what I did in this GPT. As you can see, I have the same 2 paragraphs reiterating what my goal is in this GPT, and I just copy and pasted that from my original GPT that I created in the agent navigation section. And then I have a similar section in the other GPT, just giving this GPT its job. I say your job is to help guide users through specific video editing tips and techniques we use at my company for YouTube videos. And then I give it my 3 sections of every successful video that I've created: intro, information, and outro. And then I label what the main points to focus on in each of those sections are and what I do for each of those sections. And I go very specific. I give it the volume of the music and when to fade out and what volume to fade out to in the intro of the video. And then I tell Retention Rick, if the question seems to stray away from any of the main focuses, make sure to reiterate what the company AI Foundation needs for a successful YouTube video in a nice and friendly way. So if anything or any question starts to stray away from these things, I want it to reiterate what the important things of a video are about at AI Foundations. And then I want it to list out these 2 video examples, which did very well using this exact same strategy. And this video got over 1.1 million views. This one got nearly 400,000 views and counting. So I'm kind of structuring this in a way where people who are editing videos don't have to think, right? All they have to do is follow the set of instructions that works well. And if they do, then in turn it will get more views, and more views equals more ad revenue, and more ad revenue equals more of a share for them. So I want to reiterate that in the goals as well. And now we get into the fun part where I'm actually going to be providing the links and the SOPs and the documents and everything that anyone could ever need when video editing for me to get help. That they don't have to ask me a question, they can go, and I've already recorded the tutorials. That way I can just send them to the video, and if it really needs to get to me, then they can email me, for example. But for the intro, for the smooth intro scale in 150 to 100 with a reverb whoosh, I have a link to a Google Drive file which would allow the user to click on the video if they've got a question about how to do that and watch a tutorial on how to get it done. So then right here, I'm going to keep on giving all the links that you would ever need in order to edit one of my videos. And to the very bottom section here, I'm going to list an asset folder in which people can access all of the assets that they'd need in order to complete these items. So as you can see, I'm getting hyper specific, and this may seem like a lot and it may seem like a lot of work, but remember, when using things like ChatGPT and AI in order to automate your process and automate your training, you only have to do it really one time. And if you do everything good once, then your training and your life and your automations are going to be so much easier and just so much nicer on yourself. So it's only going to take a couple hours to set this up, but it's going to save me tens, if not hundreds of hours when it comes to training, answering questions, and having a system that I want done correctly in this exact way because it's proven to work. So now I can hit close on this GPT, and Retention Rick is pretty much ready to go. I still have to actually film all of these SOPs, which is the unfortunate part, but it's not unfortunate when I have it done because, like I was just saying, all I have to do is film one, edit one video, and it'll be good for training forever. So I'm going to have to go in here and do that, but I have the structure of this down, and it's pretty much ready to go. So I can hit close, and if I wanted to, I could even upload files of maybe some recent YouTube video stats and have Retention Rick be able to talk about how these videos performed using this certain editing style to kind of prove itself. I've also added some conversation starters to make it easy for people. I need help with the intro of the video. I need help with the outro of the video. I need help with the information section of the video, or access all video editing assets at AI Foundations. Once that's clicked, they will get a link to all the video assets. So now I can hit update and confirm. And now the process is going to be exactly the same for the other 2 GPTs that I have in mind, the Posting Pearl and the Thumbnail Tom, right? I'm going to have to design these in the exact way that I designed Retention Rick, which should be pretty easy because now I have the structure of how I want these GPTs to work. So maybe what you'd want to do is test Retention Rick or your first training GPT to make it the exact way you want it, to make sure all the functionality works, and then you can copy and paste it for your other training GPTs and replace the information that's needed for each training set. So I've got Retention Rick done, I've got the YouTube Production AIF done, now it's time to build Thumbnail Tom and Posting Pearl, so I'm going to do that now, and then I'm going to dive into the dynamic function of how all of these are connecting, how they're all working together, and I'll show a full use case and example after I'm done crafting the instructions for both Thumbnail Tom and Posting Pearl. So I finally finished creating the instructions for Thumbnail Tom and Posting Pearl, and I will admit this did take me a couple of hours in total, but keep in mind that as I start to fill these things out, as I record my SOPs, as I upload them to this database, it's only going to make my future self happy. I'm not worried about working for a couple hours in order to fulfill all my training and editor needs for the future. And that was a ladybug. And questions if anybody on the team has a question. So let me dive in and show you the workflow and how everything connects. So team members will start on this YouTube Production GPT, and this is basically the navigation for the video editors. So whenever they have a question about anything, they can hit one of these buttons or ask this YouTube Production GPT. So let's just say I need help with video editing. The YouTube Production GPT, for some reason, said our systems have detected unusual activity, so I hit regenerate, and then it said, you need help with video editing? No problem. Retention Rick has all the operating procedures that you need. Use @Retention Rick in your prompt bar to ask him your specific video editing questions. And then it gives a nice little description about what he's good at. And so using the GPT Mentions feature, I can type in @Retention Rick, and it pops up right here in the middle. I can select @Retention Rick, and now I can ask him a question. Maybe I can ask him, how do I do smooth zoom-ins at AIF? And I can send it off. And it gives me a detailed response on exactly how I want these transitions done. It gives preparation keyframes and everything. And then it even lists out my SOPs that I've provided, my assets folder, and so on. So now, if the user had a question on how to do smooth zoom-ins when doing editing, then I could just click on this Zoom Presets download and use SOP. So I can select this folder, and it will take me straight to that SOP that I've already created. And then they can hit play and learn from there. I can then go back. I can stop talking to retention Rick, and I can ask another question. I need help with thumbnail design, okay? So maybe I need help with thumbnail design. Well, it says I'm in luck because @thumbnailtom has me covered. So I can type in @thumbnailtom, then I can message Thumbnail Tom about designing the thumbnail. Maybe I want to get a little crazy, right? And I want to design some insane thumbnail for AI foundations, but let me type out a prompt and ask Thumbnail Tom. I'm about to ask Thumbnail Tom, I want to design an insane thumbnail with complex design elements and backgrounds for AI foundations. Can you help me achieve this? And when I send it off, as you can see, I've set boundaries within these GPTs so that if people stray away from the main things that actually get a good click-through rate in a thumbnail for a YouTube video, I bring them back to the foundational pillars of making a good thumbnail for my specific style of YouTube videos. And these are all pillars that I've created and things that I've found out works well. It says, I appreciate your enthusiasm for creating an insane thumbnail, but at AI Foundations, we focus on keeping our thumbnail designs effective yet simplistic. Here's how we can align your creative energy with our design principles. And then it gives an AI Foundations asset folder, and it also gives a link to a thumbnail that worked well that I created in Google Drive. And I listed out why this thumbnail worked well and got an 8.3% click-through rate. So I labeled everything: picture of face, 1 to 3 intriguing words, application logo, simple background, arrow/circle, intriguing photos from the video. And that's exactly what is included in all the main pillars of a successful thumbnail. So it kind of brings everything back down to earth, like, hey, you don't have to get crazy, just do what works in the past. Now I could go on and on about how in-depth you could get with this and how many GPTs you could use using the GPT mentions feature in creating a workforce, a training workforce, or something for your workouts, your dieting, engineering boring tasks, whatever it may be. But the creativity and action really comes down to you. Now, if you want to learn how to create GPTs that are very good in an in-depth training, adding knowledge, actions, and all that fun stuff, then I highly recommend joining my ChatGPT course and community with over 50 plus modules on learning ChatGPT and specific modules on creating GPTs. I will leave a link in the description or the top pinned comment if you'd like to access and join the growing community of over 450 members. Please subscribe if you did enjoy this video and drop a comment and a like. Did you like this video? Did you like the idea of it? How should I improve it? Well, let me know your thoughts. With that being said, I will see you in the next video.